Hello, welcome to another tonalist landscape oil painting demonstration. This is your painter in residence, M. Francis McCarthy. And the painting I'm bringing you today is called Tree by the Sea. What do you think of that? That's pretty clever, eh? Kind of a simple motif. It's an 8 by 8. I completed this yesterday. I did the underpainting a few days earlier in the week. It was kind of one of those weeks it was hard to get a lot of painting done, but I got several good starts done, and that's a tip for you. You know, if you're doing that sort of M. Francis process, you can break the whole painting down into doable chunks. In a case like this, 8 by 8 doesn't take that long. You see me painting it now. I'm working on hardboard with some oil. I'm using the quick drying archival brand odorless lean medium / oil, and some burnt umber mixed with perylene black, which does a really nice job at just kind of subtly counteracting those red properties in the burnt umber. And the burnt umber is great because it'll dry quite quickly, so you could get into do the underpainting in the morning, or depending on the size, of course, and how much time it takes, get into the color in the afternoon. I do that a lot. Or it could just sit there as an underpainting, waiting until you have enough time to jump in and do the color. And even the color, you can break that up too. Like, you can just go after the sky in one session, and then the land portions in another. In a case like this, you could even break it into the sky, the sea, and the land, right? So no excuses. Get cracking, get busy. This painting was, pretty. I've done this scene before. I did it as a tiny little 3.5 by 3.5, probably 2018 or so. It was flipped around the other way, which is always a good tip for you if you're looking for reference to paint. You can always paint that same scene again. You'd be surprised. Some scene you painted before, you're going to be better. It'll be gratifying, although not always. Sometimes you might find you will be better, but sometimes there's a lot of factors that go into painting. Not the least of which is the level of consciousness that you're sort of exhibiting while you're painting. That's a real factor. Yeah. Hold on, I'm going to sniffle here. Sorry. I don't know. My nose is a little plugged up, but not from a cold. Maybe just some sort of dust or allergies. Anyway, I wanted to burble on today about. Let me see if I can give you some more tips about this painting before I start getting all philosophical on you. Yeah, this tree was, so I brought in these, out here in New Zealand, we have these trees called pohutukawas. And around Christmas time, they get these red flowers. And that's something they just love. The tourists love it, and the people who live out here love it. So this tree kind of, oh, that's what I was saying with the 3.5 by 3.5. I had done a coloration on it that was just this intense pink. Everything, I made everything pink and purple in Photoshop, and used that to create a painting. And it turned out okay. I think I sold it. It's gone. However, when I was looking at it now, in the years later, I was going, nah, that's way too pink. But I did like pink aspects, so what I did was I did my turn it black and white trick, and then colorize it using the palette.fm site, which uses AI to colorize things, and it does an okay job. I'm sure it's going to get increasingly better as time goes on. Anyway, that gave me some ideas. Now, I could have just dug around for the original reference, but that's fine. What I do is, in the best possible meaning of the word, is synthetic. Okay, I'm not after strict realism. Um, I want you to know what it is I'm painting. I want a hill to look like a hill, and water to look like water, and grass to look like grass, etc. But I take a lot of liberties, and um, I believe that one of the hallmarks of tonalism is synesthesia, is synthetic, is bringing disparate things together to create something new. And actually, that's a great segue into what I really want to talk about for most of this video, which is getting out of a slump. Okay, I'm sure a lot of you can relate with that. So I've got a lot of ideas and tips about it. Now, it won't be too long. We're going to have an ad for the book coming up. And yeah, get the book. What are you waiting for? You know, you're waiting for um, the economies of the planet to collapse and shipping to become untenable. Get in there and get that book, because once you have the book, you've got the book, and you can study it and learn. Well, at least learn about how I approach paintings. I'm not the all-time be-all, end-all. I'm just a guy that's plugging away, you know, much like yourself. And the probably one of the main differences, I've just been doing it longer and diligently, and that's going to tie into the sort of talk I want to give on creativity right after the upcoming ad. And now I did lengthen this. I have been shortening the amount of time that I show the book, but you know, I really want to encourage you to get the book. Now it's $60 US, and that's, I know, a pretty high threshold for a book. But most of that is actually going into the international shipping, which since the COVID has just got crazy expensive. That said, though, once you have a book in your hands, you have a book. And you know, rather than chasing around bits of information all over the place on this channel or other channels, you'll have it all in one place, and that'll be great. So go to my site, order that. I'll ship it to you. Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about creativity. I have a friend who's having a bit of a slump, you know. So their mojo's gone. They've had some hits, you know. I won't get into the stuff, but anyway, suffice to say, they want to be creative, but they go to do some work, and it just fizzles out. Or they maybe the number one problem is you just don't feel like it. And that usually precedes a slump, where you've just had an extensive period of I don't feel like it, and you don't do anything. So the number one way to avoid a slump is to keep your momentum going, to paint every week. Try and paint every day, you know. Even if it's only a half hour, you can do an underpainting. Like I say, you could do the sky one day, you can do the tree the next day. Still be working sort of alla prima, except that you're stretching it out. And by alla prima, I mean you're working directly. You're not working in thin layers and over, you know, a grisaille or anything like that. So number one way to avoid a slump is don't stop working. But let's say you did, and now you come up and you're trying to do some work, and you go, well, this just doesn't touch or measure up to even close to where I was before. I really suck now, and it's very depressing. Okay, I got a couple of tips for you how to get out of that. First of all, you've got to work your way out of it, but do not do work. Well, I got a couple ideas on the types of work you can do. Sorry, another sniffle. But the number one thing I want to impart to you is that the work that you do, you don't want to sit there and get all compare-y with the work you're doing versus your own work, especially your own previous best work. Okay, because that's immobilizing. Don't do it. Okay. And especially, it's not helpful when you're in the process of creating. It might be fine to sit there and compare things you've done when you've got a little distance from the act of creation. It's not going to be as harmful to your quote-unquote mojo. That's number one. Number two, don't worry about being original. That is one of the places you're getting tripped up. Everything that you do as an artist is a 100% reflection of you. If you're making a copy after a master's painting or anyone's painting, it really will look much more like one of your paintings than theirs. Just a fact. You don't have the skills. None of us, even someone who's pretty skilled, such as myself, doesn't really have the skills to make an exact replica of anyone's painting. So this is an idea that we sort of harbor and we think is real. It's not. So one of the ways I think you can get out of a slump is just to go back to your influences, go back to the artists that really got you jazzed up and thinking, oh, I want to do a painting. Make a couple studies after some of their pieces. Maybe take some photo reference and do your best to interpret it through the lens of that artist that you admire. This is a really big tip. And don't worry about anything other than trying to do a good job at making a painting. And after you do that, do another one, do another one, do another one. And the next thing you know, some of those might suck, but not all of them will suck. And before you know it, you're right out of the slump, okay? So don't worry about being original. Don't worry about comparing what you do to your best previous work. And especially important, I don't know, some people, I never really had this problem, but some people really do, comparing their work to the work of others. That is absolute kiss of death for your creativity. Don't do it. It's stupid, okay? Not to offend anyone or insult anyone, but that's a really bad plan. You know, you can note that some people are able to do things that you'd like to do or wish you could do. Maybe you'll never be able to do some of the things they can do. It really doesn't matter, because you can do what you can do, and if you go deep enough into that, what you do is going to be very original, because you as a person are an original. There is nobody on the planet that is like you or even vaguely similar to you, okay? So keep that in mind. And then, you know, the last thing I want to say is that, well, you know, maybe you gave up. Hey, you know, you haven't been working, you haven't been painting, you're just playing games and watching videos. You're just thinking, why even bother, you know? Well, because, dude, or dudette, as the case may be, person, you can tell I'm originally from California, hey? Because doing stuff is going to be the greatest happiness that you can experience, okay? Maybe I don't have kids, but parenthood, I have seen people find that to be very fulfilling. That would be maybe the only thing that could surpass that feeling that you get of joy and elation when you've done something that you're happy with, that you do like, and you will get there. It will happen. All you have to do is keep working, you know, and then the working becomes its own reward, because instead of just wasting your life being a spectator, being entertained, you're a creator, you know. You're making a mark, you're making a statement, you're leaving something behind, and I think that is totally worthwhile. And it doesn't matter if it's acknowledged now or later or ever. All that really matters is that you did something, you made a try, you know, and you expressed yourself. That unique expression of the universe that you are manifested some creativity while they were here. Anyway, that's my lecture. Thanks for joining me today. You can support this channel. Please, hey, leave me a comment, or if you've got some money, some extra money, we all have bills to pay, go buy a painting or send me a donation. There's a little thank you button under this video, but even better, go to the donation on my website. Until I come back with another video for your edification and enjoyment, do me a favor, do me a solid, take good care of yourself, your family, all your loved ones. Stay out of trouble, and God bless you and your family. Keep on working, fight the power.